So you're struggling to work the television in a hotel room, or you open an unsolicited email on your laptop, and suddenly...
Sorry.
And suddenly you're confronted with some extraordinary images. Now, porn is now available everywhere at the click of a button, so it's no wonder 80% of 14 to 16-year-olds admit to having watched it online, and so has a third of the under 10s. Is porn bad for society? Johnny Ongley, you used to be... Morning. You used to be a teacher.
Yep.
Now you're a porn star?
I'm a porn performer. I'd never call myself a star, but yeah.
Right, okay. And Tilly, you've done porn in the past. You
Yeah.
occasionally do... You do the occasional, I believe, private party, but you don't...
Yeah.
You
I
don't.
did. I spent 2 years filming porn, yeah.
Yeah. Why is it beneficial? Why is it good for society?
Well, first of all, I mean, when we're talking about pornography, we're talking about a wide genre of things. Pornography refers to literature, refers to film, imagery. And sure, within pornography, just like if I was referring to music, there would be music that contains lyrics which incite violence, homophobia, racism, the derogatory against women, all those sorts of things. Pornography, yes, there will be porn that I might view, that you might view, other people might view, that think is going to have a negative effect on some viewers. However, there is a huge array of pornography. And I believe pornography can be beneficial in a number of ways. Well, first of all, and I'm going to talk from my personal experience here, as a young man who did delve into my father's secret stash porn cupboards, and porn does pleasure me. It arouses me.
And it taught you, did it teach you anything about intimacy, love, respect?
Pornography is not there
it didn't.
Yeah.
Sorry?
Pornography is not there to teach us about that. We experience...
You produce porn, just to tell
I do,
everyone.
yeah, and I also used to be a school teacher, funnily enough.
So that's your roots, really. It's a career path, career progression.
I want to be a school teacher.
But no, we go through our lives, and people around us, our peers, our values, things like that, and our experiences shape our views on love, on sex, all of those things. I don't believe pornography does that. I was as a young woman, I always liked pornography. I was always interested in it. The only negative...
Why? What was it about it?
Because I'm a very sexual person, and everyone is different, and there will be people in this audience, there will be people at home who are very similar to me in that way, and then there will be people who don't view sex in that way. To them it's something very different. But I grew up often feeling quite guilty that I wanted to watch certain things, because again, as a woman, you're sort of led to believe this isn't right, or this is something bad for women. It doesn't show them in a good light. But I enjoyed it. I got something out of it, and I didn't find it offensive. So I since then have become a porn director, a porn producer, and I've worked with a lot of women in the industry as well.
Are they empowered?
Yeah, you definitely are.
Were you empowered by doing this? Or were you...
Of course we are.
Because some people say this is a form of sexual slavery.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many misconceptions about people in this industry, that we are exploited, you know, that we're forced into this, that we've had some traumatic childhood or something terrible happen to us when we were children. And I can quite honestly say that my childhood was fabulous. You know, I grew up...
Idyllic.
Yeah, and my mother loved me. You know, I didn't have anything like traumatic happen to me. I done it because I wanted to be looked at. You know, why do women wear makeup? Do we do it for women, or do we do it so men will look at us?
And I would argue that in mainstream media, we see far more damaging images of women. If you now, there's such a wide...
Far more damaging images of women than appear in porn.
Yeah, definitely. Because if you now go to porn, there's such a wide array of things. You can have anything you want. If you want to watch, you know, a larger lady having sex, if you want, you want to watch an older lady having sex, you can watch this. These are not the stereotypes of you know, what appears to be beautiful as well. So surely, if we're now saying,
why should we be watching it?
Why should we be watching it?
You asked me
it's
earlier
entertainment.
about an educational value. I believe there is an educational value to pornography. I have to say, when I was at school, sex education for me was in science and being shown a drawn diagram of the genitals. Now, watching pornography, it was the first time I'd ever seen a vagina, to be honest with you. It taught me about different ways of pleasuring the opposite sex. And whether I believe it's important to know how to pleasure your partner, whether you're in a long-term relationship.
Catherine, but there are other people to talk on this. Sure. You would not be surprised that I tell you that. Catherine Harper, Scottish Women Against Pornography. Can we kind of know where you're coming from there? Do you believe it is, there's so many issues here, but do you believe it is in any sense, as Johnny argues, educational?
It is educational, he's right, like any other medium, the media, but what it's teaching is very, very negative and damaging, and that's the problem.
Why? Why do you think it's negative and damaging?
But if you look at me,
I'd like to hear an explanation of why.
Okay, Adam, you say it's objectifying women's bodies.
Hang on, but
Let me just finish.
we like to be objectified. That's why we
Catherine
want
hasn't
to
finished
be.
her point. We just picked up what you said, objectified women's bodies,
Objectify-
which I want to introduce into our debate. But please do finish your point.
Pornography is taking the place of good, healthy sex education for young people, particularly young men. What young men are learning in pornography about sex is about power and domination. It's not teaching about a healthy sexual lifestyle. We're talking about a massive multi-billion-dollar industry that is predicated on exploitation. It preys on the vulnerable and the weakest in society, and it is profit
have you
driven.
ever spent any time on a porn set?
Yeah,
Have you ever
exactly.
worked
I
with someone
suspect
like
not.
me who makes
I suspect not.
Even Zelda.
How do you think, Coley? How do you think, Coley?
I mean, a few years ago, I have very, I mean, for obvious reasons, I'm going to say I've never watched porn. But I had similar feelings as you about the objectification of women and about the denigration of women and subjugation of women. But when I delved a little further and spoke to people, practitioners, it actually seemed to be feminism in operation, because the stars of pornography are the women. The men, well, I was going to say the men can come and go, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
The women, it's all about the women. The men are secondary. There are more.
What about the impact on those who watch it
Well,
and what they think about women?
This is a really interesting thing. As adults, I don't think anyone can object. I mean, Johnny seems like a lovely bloke, and if adults use pornography within the realms of a relationship or not in a relationship, that's fine. Where we have a truly worrying trend in society, a time bomb ticking, is the uptake of porn by particularly young men in their teenage years, whose images, they're still learning and growing, and their images about women are developing.
Forms their opinion of what women are
and
like.
those,
and
I mean, with all due respect, there is a type of pornography that aren't real women. I mean, very little of them is real, and
Tilly.
even the real bits
Well, hang
aren't
on.
real.
To say that, we can say that, okay? And yeah, I do, to a point, agree. All right, that young boys are getting this stereotype of a woman that does like all these mad, nasty things that they can't do on porn. But if you think about it, you've got to really look at like nurture over nature and environmental issues as well. I mean, why are their parents, why don't they have password protection on their computers? Why is there not a pin code on the television
Tilly,
channel?
that's a
Honey.
but that's a by the by. The reality is, and it has always been there, but it was the reason I've never bought a pornographic magazine in my life isn't, heaven forfend, I didn't want to look at one. I'm a man, I wanted to. I was feared. Do you know what I mean? And plus I was quite sure, and it seems ironic. They say it affects your eyesight, then they put it on the top shelf. I never had the guts to go and buy it. The thing is, it's so easy on the internet. There is, you know, to me, and we need to
Giselle?
regulate that.
Lizelle, sorry.
Catherine says we're missing the main points. What are the main points, Catherine?
Where is your empathy? Where is your care for the women and children involved in this industry that are the cash
What
crop?
do you mean? What
I'm a woman involved in this
Pornography
industry.
doesn't
Well, hang on, wait, Giselle. Let's see what Catherine has to say about this.
Pornography. May I finish,
Yeah, exactly.
please? May I finish?
Well, you described it as sexual slavery, didn't
It
you?
is. In fact, we've got more slaves now than ever before in history.
That's to do with
Let's let her finish. Please let her
Women and
finish.
children are trafficked from countries
Yeah,
where
and
there's
they're forced
poverty.
into prostitution.
I'll
not
come to
because-
wait. Let's let Catherine finish, and then I will come to you.
The cash crop are women and children. The porn industry depends on women and children. It is predicated on exploitation, so we're missing the point here. We are not considering that these people, the women and some men and children, and there isn't a dividing line between adults and child pornography.
So do I have never seen a minor in porno.
Well, I
Not in the
have.
UK. Well, not in the UK.
I have.
Are you talking? I think there are two different things here.
My
I mean,
points are that this is based on evidence.
I think it's
We would-
important to say
the
that
need
abusive
for
images of children are one
Where did you
thing.
get your evidence?
Wait a minute, please. What we're talking about is the legitimate, legal
Have
business.
you seen the magazine Barely Legal?
No, I haven't.
It's
And they are all over
They have to have
underage
birth
children.
No, they're not underage. That's fine.
Okay, Giselle, wait a minute. You're all talking at once. We can't hear anyone. So what we do, we'll come to the bishop. If in doubt, go to the bishop. That's what I always say. In life, much as on this program, is this a moral business?
I'm not interested in living in a puritanical, moralistic, repressive society. That's
Thank goodness.
where I start. Well, I think that's a sad and impoverished place. So this is an area of human freedom. The trouble is, it covers a very wide spectrum. And I know that people are talking about regulation and all that sort of thing. But at the end of the day, as you hit on it by accident or the hotel room television thing, you know, it's a very, very wide spectrum and control is very, very difficult. I think what bothers me about it at the end of the day, and I'm quite happy that people should explore it and enjoy it if that's what they want to do.
Why are you happy about that?
Well, because I think it's an area of human freedom, and I don't like the puritanical repressive thing. But what I do want to say, Nikki, is I think that there is a danger that it coarsens society, that there are lots of influences around which actually do, as it were, blunt the openness and the edges of people's personality. And that, I think, is not good for society. And I would put porn, I think, in danger of being in that area. It's a personal choice. If we're in the area where it's not exploitative, and particularly where it's not abusive of children or
Well, that's
women,
different. That's not pornography.
that's
Those
a
are
different
abusive
thing.
images
Sure.
of children. Yeah.
Sure. I still think it risks being a coarsening element
Johnny,
to our lives.
I know you're desperate to come back, and Ruth, I'll come to you in a second. But Johnny, go on.
Well, first of all, just to respond to you, I mean, of course, in any industry, there are bad apples in there. It's apples, right? You know, I've worked in all sorts of industries. I've been a teacher, I've worked in banking, I've worked in the travel industry. There's exploitation in all those industries. There are bad people, there's corruption, absolutely. But
are human beings.
Sorry?
The product here in this industry is human beings.
Well,
The
except human beings
product
work in all
goes
industries,
beyond
excuse me.
And there are bad
beyond
people in all
the image. It
forms and all
has
walks
a
of life.
dynamic that
No, we're listening to Johnny.
However, all the porn that I've ever been involved with, everyone's been utterly respected. We've been utterly professional when we've been on set. If the woman is ever feeling uncomfortable, we take a break, we have a pause, she makes herself comfortable again. I've never witnessed, and I'm not a woman, so I cannot speak from a woman's perspective here, but I've never witnessed that. Also, when you're talking about, I believe in this country, we do have a problem.
What about the impact on the people watching? That's what we're trying
that's
to...
what I'm saying. In this country, we do have a problem because our young people are watching the same pornography as as everybody else around the world, right? But the problem is in this country, we have a very immature attitude towards sex. So we're not dealing with it, and we're not dealing with the issue from a young enough age at a mature enough level. I have Dutch friends, for instance, and this is a bit extreme, but she said when she was younger, if her parents were having sex in the bedroom, she could just go in and grab something from the cupboard and just walk out again. It was never an issue.
Adam, you don't like that at all, do you?
If you talk to young Dutch people...
Adam's about to explode.
I'm about to explode.
Adam is about to explode.
In the 21st century,
The image of your parents.
21st century, we have a woman saying, I like being objectified. I can't believe that after all. The struggle
say she likes being she likes having sex, she likes being...
Let me finish. I think
Twisting my words.
you said you liked being objectified. You said that.
No, I didn't say it. I said I like to be looked at.
You didn't say that.
Why do we wear
fine.
makeup?
Okay,
Because we like people to look
the greatest
at.
disservice to women is that we have convinced women that being used as
no one's
one
convinced us
second.
of anything.
Richard, you're questioning that woman's choice to be in that position.
1 second.
Everybody's in at the same time, which is very
The
often...
greatest disservice to women is that we have somehow convinced women that being a sexual instrument, a blow-up doll made from flesh, is somehow liberating. That this is the biggest disservice to
hang
women.
on a minute. So
Okay,
to use your words,
this
I'm
is-
a blow-up doll in
No,
flesh,
no,
yeah?
according to-
To
according
use
to-
your words against you,
No,
that's what I am, a
you're-
blow-up doll
That's what,
made of flesh.
No, you're not. You're a human being, and I wouldn't ask
I'm
you to
not
do
a
such
human
things as
being.
pornography. That's the
I
point.
enjoy
the greatest
it.
respect, she's chosen to.
I
Where's her
chose to
choice
get into
to
this
do that?
industry and I enjoy
Why are you
it.
questioning what
Let me answer
what is
that.
motivating
Let
her
me answer
choice?
that.
You're
Let me
saying,
answer that.
but your choice has been driven by the
Let-
fact you've been watching porn.
Well,
you've
if I
may answer that. If I may
When
answer
people are
that.
watching
God
porn,
knows,
wait,
you know,
no.
God decides to
Let me
cause
ask this.
disasters
When people
in
are
some ones
watching,
he saves,
when
it's
people are
like-
watching the porn, do they see you as a person, as a human being? Do you think?
Well, do you know what?
They don't need to, Giselle.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
fantasy. It's
Your
fantasy.
characters.
It is entertaining. entertainment. I enjoy watching people have sex. That doesn't make me a bad person. If I am made to feel like a bad person, that's the problem. That's when it becomes a problem in society, when people are then, seen as outsiders for enjoying this. If it's consenting adults, and this is the whole point, in the British industry, and I've worked in this industry now for 2.5 years as a producer, a lot of performers are my friends. We are regulated. We have to provide the IDs of everyone to say that they're over 18. We have to take pictures of them holding those IDs to prove that. They have to have their sexual health certificates. It is entirely regulated now as an industry. I can't speak for the entire world or every person making porn.
Alistair Robertson.
In this country, that's how it is.
Alistair Robertson works in the area of violence against women. Now, Alistair, please tell these people why you think what they do is dangerous.
I think it's an interesting comparison when you say that it's regulation, because banks are regulated. So, but as far as
different sort of answer.
Wait.
As far as it doing no damage is concerned, I think we've got to be careful there. I think what we've got to see is the pornification of children in schools, where they've got mobile phones, where they're making their own porn movies, where their expectations are that because they've seen some kind of pornographic material, that's their expectation of how I'm supposed to behave in a relationship.
I want to listen to him. I want to listen to what he's got to say. Thank you. Well, no, let's listen to what he's got to say.
I think you've got to be careful with that, because if what you're doing is you're creating an expectation within children and young people and adolescents that's how they're expected to perform, that's how they're expected to look, then I think that's damaging. And I accept.
Alistair, does it change the way that some men think about women when they've watched this stuff?
Yes, I think it does. And I also think that there's an expectation, and I'm speaking from personal experience here, where maybe there's something not normal about me, because I don't necessarily enjoy watching pornography. I don't necessarily enjoy going into supermarkets and finding that my 4-year-old can pick up a magazine that's pornographic from the bottom shelf.
Lady here, Tilly Barobi, this lady is very keen to say something.
Yeah, my name is Becky Dwyer with the Consenting Adult.
Hello, Becky.
Consenting
Network. Adult.
Yeah.
That you emphasize.
So part of the problem here that I'm seeing is that there's a lot of emphasis on the children. What are these children getting hold of these things? But the thing is, if we treat everything as being, well, what happens if a child gets hold of it? What happens if a child holds this steak knife? My God, the child can't hold the steak knife, he'll cut himself.
Yeah.
So if we treat all pornography as if it's in danger of being shown to children, we end up treating all adults as children as well. Are we not adults capable of running our own lives?
Okay, look, what about the attitudes to women, though?
That's the problem with the comparison she's just made between steak knives and porn.
Yeah.
Because excuse me.
We don't know. Johnny, we don't know what he said yet.
Please, could you give me a chance to speak? Because seriously speaking, we've all been children before, and you really cannot make a comparison between a steak knife and what imagery brings through porn. You have to go to your dad's stuff to steal stuff. To watch in porn, you don't go stealing steak knives.
Excuse me. Giselle, very quickly. Then
What upset me as a child and what disturbed me as a child was seeing violent horror films.
Yeah,
not people having consensual sex.
Ruth Gledhill.
What we have seen.
It's a vast money-making business, whether it be for the gratification of those who watch it or the financial gratification of people like Richard Desmond who run the business is another question for another day. But are you uncomfortable with the porn industry, or is it just one of those freedom of choice things? We live and let live, and it's adults making an informed decision.
I certainly accept there is a safety valve argument. I wouldn't deny that. But what we've seen here in front of our eyes is the demeaning effect that pornography has on civilized discourse. And one of the things that worries me most is the thousands, hundreds of thousands of women in their homes who want to make love, and I use those phrases advisedly, make love with their husbands, and we haven't heard much of love here, have we, today?
Right,
Who want to make love with their husbands with the lights on, but then because they're living up to an impossible ideal and they're embarrassed to have the light on, so they do it in the dark because they know that what their husbands have been watching doesn't match up to what they can offer. And I think that it's having a terrible effect upon intimacy in homes up and down the country, and we don't hear this publicly.
I think mainstream fashion magazines have more of an impact on
Yeah,
women's bodies.
exactly. Watching
We're going to give you. Wait, everyone. We're going to give you the very last word in this debate, Catherine. And we're all going to listen to see what she's going to say. But if you want to contribute to our next debate, you are very welcome to do so. Catherine.
Talking about evidence, it's extremely important you brought up the safety valve thing, because this is one of the biggest myths in pornography, that the use of pornography reduces sexual crimes and sex offenders from committing crimes. In fact, the absolute opposite is true. That in fact, I have the evidence. The evidence is this. May I finish?
Please let her finish. Please let her finish. Please let her finish.
Ray Wire, who has worked with
Ray
sex
Wire.
offenders, the late Ray Wire, who I know has worked with sex offenders since the 70s, and his research is very, very clear that the use of pornography actually fuels sex offenders and increases in the 2 weeks prior to committing a sexual offence. So it is the very opposite of a safety valve. It is actually validating and legitimising those.
Thank you all very much indeed. Thank you for your contributions on the way through. Our recent Ministry of Justice report in Scotland confirmed what you say, but there have been other reports in other parts of the world that say the opposite. So don't be afraid to log on. Contact us if you've got something to say about that. It's bbc.co.uk/thebigquestions, and you can follow the link to our message board. And send us your views about our last big question.